6:47, time now for the morning rush. A woman who was mistakenly released from MDC last week is once again waking up behind bars. Last Wednesday, MDC announced they had accidentally released 44-year-old Desiree Sanchez. APD says Sanchez called police to turn herself in. She was arrested around 6 o'clock yesterday evening. We're working to learn more about a SWAT response in southeast Albuquerque. Yesterday afternoon, police say they responded to an apartment near Pontabo, south of Central, after getting reports that a man was at the complex with a gun. SWAT officers were called to ensure the safety of those in the apartment. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is once again in the national spotlight after speaking on issues surrounding New Mexico. Early yesterday, the governor returned to face the nation, speaking on the southern border once again. The governor also spoke on a potential vice president pick for Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. Ryan.
And we're going to be heating up today. Temperatures in the 90s and triple digits for much of the metro and the eastern plains. By the way, a beautiful sunrise courtesy of a weather pattern change, a hotter and drier one. However, storms, a few of them, are still possible in the short term.
Water Authority crews are asking residents to stay clear as they continue to work on repairing a water main in northeast Albuquerque. According to officials, the main broke around 12:30 yesterday afternoon near Montgomery and Morris. Repairs to the broken water main are not expected to be completed until sometime later today. An investigation is underway after an emergency plane landing at Double Eagle Airport. According to AFR, crews responded around 9:30 yesterday morning after they say a plane landed on the mesa about a mile from the runway. They found a small plane with minimal damage, with both occupants uninjured. Advocates are urging state lawmakers to make it easier for New Mexico school districts to switch from diesel to electric school buses. The groups of NMVC Action Fund and Healthy Climate New Mexico made the pitch for electric school buses to the Legislative Transportation Infrastructure Revenue Subcommittee, saying going electric keeps kids away from harmful chemicals in diesel. Ryan.
And we're going to be heating up and drying out for many today, but this is still monsoon season, a pretty active one in Albuquerque. Since June 15th, the first day of monsoon season, more than almost 3.5 inches of rain, just actually under that by a few hundredths of an inch. More than 1.5 inches above normal. We'll have to watch out for more rain still ahead.
The Downs of Albuquerque are now getting ready for next weekend's events after the Ruidoso Downs moved their races to the metro for the time being. Now, this past weekend was the first racing event for the Ruidoso Downs following the devastating Salt and South Fork fires, as well as major flooding. Ruidoso Downs races will continue until Labor Day. An environmental group is pushing for the release of a female Mexican wolf. Last week, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife announced they would not be releasing the 3-year-old wolf named Asha until she successfully breeds. Advocates with the Western Watersheds Project say they confirm that confining her in a small space could hurt her physical abilities to travel far. Vice President Kamala Harris is riding a wave of new support into her second week as a 2024 presidential candidate. Harris's campaign says she's raised a record $200 million already. Trump is now escalating his attacks on Harris. A new poll shows that Harris has a higher favorability among voters than Trump since she entered the race. Ryan.
No major accidents or slowdowns right now as traffic, with this map indicating that with the green arrows. And now taking a live look at Tracker, it's headed south on I-25 near Lead and Coal. A beautiful sunrise. From what we can see, no traffic, and we'll keep you up to date.
A man in New York has been playing a saxophone for 90 years, and at the age of 103, he's still playing. Dominic Critelli has been playing the saxophone for several decades. He says his secret to a long life is only a few ingredients and a good glass of wine.
Now it's time for the 5 facts, and at number 5, the Downs of Albuquerque are now getting ready for next weekend's events after the Ruidoso Downs moved their races to the metro. This past weekend was the first racing event for the Ruidoso Downs following the devastating Salt and South Fork fires, as well as the major flooding that came with them. Ruidoso Downs races will continue until Labor Day, and capping off with the All-American Futurity with a $3 million purse.
And number 4, advocates are urging state lawmakers to make it easier for New Mexico school districts to switch from diesel to electric school buses. In their pitch to the Legislative Transportation Infrastructure Revenue Subcommittee, they say going electric keeps kids away from harmful chemicals in diesel and reduces greenhouse gas emissions. The cost of an electric school bus is around $420,000. That's compared to just about $120,000 for a diesel bus. Presenters claimed in the long run, districts can save $100,000 in fuel and maintenance costs.
And at number 3, Fewer storms and hotter air. A beautiful sunrise, by the way, some high thin clouds, partly to mostly sunny today. And these clouds high up and thin in the atmosphere, preluding to a weather pattern change. Again, the hotter and drier one. But storms are still possible in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, the Sacramento Mountains, as well as the Gila National Forest. Some storms earlier near Silver City. We'll continue to watch out for more rain ahead in and around those areas, but heating up and drying out from the Pecos River Valley all the way to the northeastern plains, with lower chances of rain even as we head to Wednesday for really the eastern areas. However, our next weather pattern change will ensue on Thursday.
And number 2, New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is once again in the national spotlight after speaking on issues surrounding New Mexico. Yesterday, the governor returned to face the nation, speaking on the southern border once again. The governor now turns her attention to hosting town hall meetings in Albuquerque and Espanola this week. The first one is today at the C&M Smith-Brasher Hall on University. That starts at 5:30. And at number 1, a woman who was mistakenly released from MDC custody last week is once again waking up behind bars this morning. Last Wednesday, MDC announced they had accidentally released 44-year-old Desiree Sanchez. She's facing charges of armed robbery and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Sanchez was the 3rd inmate accidentally released by MDC back in July. Now all 3 are back in custody. APD says Sanchez called police to turn herself in. She was rearrested near Rio Grande Indian School around 6 yesterday evening. MDC says their Office of Professional Standards is investigating what happened to allow Sanchez to be released. They also say they've installed new measures to prevent inmates from being released again.